Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakthrough Entrepreneurs Show, where we empower entrepreneurs to build good habits, break old habits, rebuild powerful routines, overcome burnout, improve performance, and create a more healthy and more focused daily. Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakthrough Entrepreneurs Show, where we empower entrepreneurs to build good habits, break old habits, rebuild powerful routines, overcome burnout, improve performance. Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakthrough Entrepreneurs Show, where we empower entrepreneurs to build good habits, break old habits, rebuild powerful routines, overcome burnout, improve performance, and create a more healthy and more focused daily entrepreneurial life while making consistent progress in building their business. I'm your host, Muhammad Faraj, and today our topic is gratitude changed my entrepreneurial life. You see, this is one habit, one yet it's very powerful habit that can transform your health, that can transform your happiness, that can transform your productivity, that can transform your focus, that can transform the way you look at life, and you look at life from different perspective once you build this habit. It's simple habit, but yet so many people they ignore it. So many people don't practice this habit. That's why you see them, they're constantly complaining, or they are just focusing on what they're missing, what they're lacking, what they don't have, what they wish to have. A simple habit that people ignore it every day in their daily entrepreneurial life, that can block most of their negativity, that can remove most of their self-doubts, that can help them build better habits, transform their daily entrepreneurial life, but still they don't take time to study this habit, they don't take time to read about it, they don't take time to focus on this habit instead of focusing on what is happening in their life. So stay tuned with me in this episode so you can learn about this powerful habit. You see, I am living as an immigrant here in Sweden, and I come from a country called Iraq. And years ago, I'm talking about many years ago, like 15 years ago, I used to work with the US Army back in my home country in Iraq, and I used to live at a military base. You see, in those years, it was dangerous life. There was war, and there was so much violence, and life was very, 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 very tough. So I was working with the US Army as an interpreter or linguist. So I was helping them by translating or interpreting from different language to English language. So I was interpreting English to Turkmen to Arabic, and vice versa. So I was living with the US Army. I was living with them actually at the military base. So I was working with them. I would eat breakfast, lunch, dinner with them. I would live with them. I would hang out with them. I would talk to them. I would meet up with them. So my life was pretty much at the military base. And I was going on vacation to see my family only 1 week, maybe 10 days, mostly. I would go and visit my family, and then I would get back to work. So the job was pretty dangerous job. It was very, very dangerous job. You see, so many times I could have lost my life. I could have got injured because it was very dangerous life. So in that time, while I was living at the military base, I was putting my own life on a big risk, working with the US Army back in Iraq, in my home country, as a linguist. I was, just like I said, I was living with them. I was working with them. I was traveling around with their military vehicles or their military trucks. So wherever they go, I would follow them. So I was living with them. I had the body armor, I had the helmet, so I had some protection because it was very dangerous life. Some days we would go on a mission, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to get back to the military base or I would stay alive. So every mission we would go out, it was dangerous. We would take our own risk. But thank God I lived. Thank God I didn't get injured. Thank God I felt healthy. I was able to live my life. God gave me a new life, despite the fact I was working in a very, very dangerous job. Even my salary was really good. It was like my salary was more than most of the salaries in Iraq, because the job was very dangerous and not so many people wanted to work with the US Army. Not so many people wanted to put their own life in a big risk for the money, for the salary. But I was doing that because I wanted to help my country. I wanted to help building Iraqi police and Iraqi army. I was helping my home country. I was helping my government. I was helping my people, and at the same time I was helping the US Army. So I worked almost like a volunteer. I learned my own language, English language, from the US Army. I practiced a lot, and I worked. I got offered a job to work with the US Army. So as much as I worked with the US Army, as much as my language skills were improving, were getting better every day, every month. So finally I learned the language, and I was really good in English, and I was able to work with the US Army. I was able to translate, I was able to interpret, I was able to attend meetings, conferences, interviews. So I was able to communicate with both sides, with the Iraqi people and with the US Army soldiers. So, but I remember my life was very limited. I didn't have freedom back in those days. You see, I was living at the military base, and the Americans, the soldiers, the officers, everyone, even there were civilian employees, they were able to do whatever they want. They were able to go wherever they want. They had so much rights than me. So even though I was living in my own home country, in my own place, but I was limited. I wasn't allowed to go a place called MWR. MWR, how do I describe it? It was a place where there is like a gym, like a big, really nice gym, and there is like popcorn, there's a movie theater. There were like very nice, it was very, very nice place. Like all the entertainment, all the fun, all the yummy, all the enjoyable things were there. So soldiers were able, all Americans, they were able and allowed to go to MWR, go to the gym, do their training, do their workout, watch movie, eat popcorn or ice cream, hang out, play cards, play video games. Like they would do so much fun stuff. But I wasn't allowed to go there. And there was another place also called PX. It was a store. Same thing. I was able and I was allowed to go to visit that store, PX, inside the military base, but only with escort, only with some American. So I needed to have some American who can follow me just to visit the store. It's called PX. So I wasn't allowed to go there by myself. I wasn't allowed to go even to the chow hall or to the DFAC to get lunch, breakfast, or dinner. I wasn't allowed to go by myself. I needed to have an escort. I needed to have either a soldier or an officer, American, who can follow me so we can go together and eat meal. And there were even other shops inside the military base. Same thing. I wasn't allowed to go there by myself. I always needed to have someone with me. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere inside the military base without any escort, without anyone who can follow me, who can make sure that I don't go by myself. So I needed to have that person. I needed to find someone who is available, who can follow me. And sometimes other people, they were tired, they were exhausted, they were sleeping, they had their own activities, they were playing video games, they were resting, they were chilling. So it wasn't easy to find someone who can follow me to that place. If I wanted to visit a grocery store, if I wanted to visit the PX store, or if I wanted to go to the chow hall to get a lunch or breakfast or dinner, or to visit any shops and purchase stuff, I wasn't sometimes finding someone who is available, someone who is willing to follow me. And even if we wanted to go there, we needed to go there with a truck or a bus, because the military base was so big. It was like a desert place. There weren't that many buildings or streets. It was military place, it was mostly sand, desert, hot weather, very warm weather. So this is how my life was back in those days, in those times. So I had a limited life. Sometimes I would stay in the same room in the military base, stuck like in a jail, I don't know, for days, sometimes for a week. Sometimes we wouldn't go on a mission. Sometimes we had like days off or week off. We would not go on any mission. So I would need to stay stuck with them inside the military base. I wasn't allowed to leave the military base. I wasn't even allowed to go to the gate. I wasn't allowed to go and visit other linguists or other interpreters. I wasn't allowed to visit other people. I needed to have someone who can escort me, someone who can follow me, someone who is available. So I was stuck in my room. I didn't have the right to go anywhere because I had a badge. It was like military ID card, and I had only certain places to go with that badge, with that ID card. So they had created the ID card where I was limited. I wasn't allowed to go to some or certain places. So if someone would catch me with that ID card in a place where I wasn't allowed to, I would get in trouble, or I would get a punishment, or maybe they would kick me out from my job. So that's how my life was back in those days. So now I learned something. I learned a lesson from that experience, from that life. So I always make sure that I repeat this habit every day in my daily entrepreneurial life, because after I immigrated to Sweden from Iraq, from my home country, and now I have the freedom. Now I have so many opportunities. Now I have so many chances, so many schools, so many jobs, so many work, so many goals. I can build a business. I can start any project. I can go to the gym. I can travel anywhere in Sweden or in Europe. I can visit any store I want. I can go and watch any sport. I can visit any friend, any people. I can ride a train or airplane or a car or taxi. I can go anywhere. I can use whatever I want. I can do whatever I want, as long as I don't break the rules, of course. So my personal experience in Iraq working with the US Army taught me a lot about gratitude. So now living in Sweden, living this beautiful freedom life, so when I compare my freedom to being like in a jail in Iraq, I feel so grateful. When I compare that I get to live a happy, healthy life here in Sweden, I compare to those days, those dangerous days, those days where I put my life in a risk, those days where I felt like I am in a jail inside that military base. I feel so happy, so grateful. The days that I compare, now I have so much freedom. Now I am living a happy and successful life. When I compare to that dangerous life, to that jail life, to that limited life, I feel so grateful. When I visit places here in Sweden, when I travel to other cities, when I go to store, to any store that I want, when I travel to other places, when I visit like very nice nature places, I compare those places, these opportunities, to those days where I wasn't allowed to visit any store. I wasn't allowed to go to that place, MWR, or I wasn't allowed to go to the gym. I wasn't allowed to go to the chow hall to get a breakfast or lunch or dinner without escort, without someone is following me. Imagine how grateful I feel now. I felt like I was in a jail. I had very limited life. I had very stagnation life in those days. I was earning good salary, but I didn't have freedom. I wasn't feeling happy. I wasn't feeling successful. I wasn't feeling very healthy. Some days I was stuck. Some days we would not go on any mission, and I would need to stay stuck and wait for days, for a week. So that's how I compare my life. So when you change your perspective, when you look at your own life and you change your perspective, you would find so much space in your life. You would identify so many opportunities, so many wonderful things in your life that happen, that are happening, that you have right now. But when you don't change your perspective, you stay stuck with your patterns, with your limited belief. You stay stuck with self-doubts. You stay stuck with negative, weak thoughts and emotions. When you don't change your perspective, you stay stuck in your business. You stay stuck in your entrepreneurship journey. You're constantly focusing on what you're missing, what you're lacking, what you don't have, what you're not earning, what you're not getting. You're constantly focused, and you wake up every day. You follow the same routines, you follow the same habits, and this leads to the same habits and leads to the same choices and leads to the same patterns. And you're constantly losing so much progress. You're weakening yourself. You're putting yourself in a very stuck and stagnation pattern or cycle. You repeat the cycle every day. You don't feel grateful for the health that you have. You don't feel grateful for having the freedom that I didn't have when I was living back in my home country working with the US Army. I didn't have that freedom. I wish I had that freedom, but I wasn't able to get that freedom. Other people had freedom more than me in my own home country. And now I'm talking about a different country, a second country that I am living in as an immigrant, and I get to do whatever I want, travel wherever I want, do whatever I want. So when you don't change your perspective, you live your life with the same patterns, with the same habits, with the same routines, with the same limited beliefs. You always feel like you're stuck in your home. Oh, others, they achieved success, they achieved their goals, they made their dreams come true. They're living in that luxury house, they're driving that luxury car, they're doing those luxury journeys or travels, but I don't. So you always wake up in the morning and you get the same thoughts, the same emotions, and it's always about focusing on what you don't have, what is not working, what you're not getting, the results that you're not seeing. You're always comparing yourself with others. Others have vacations, I don't have vacations. Others, they're living dream life, I'm not living my dream life. Others having nice cars, I don't have a car. Others have families, they have like people in their life, but I'm single, I'm alone. So when you're constantly thinking about entrepreneurship, being lonely, you feel isolated, or you have like boring days, or there's too much work to do. When you're constantly focusing on this, it impacts your energy, it impacts your clarity, it impacts your mindset, it impacts your belief, it impacts your confidence. You feel less confident when you are constantly stuck with that negative cycle, that negative loop. I don't have this, they have this, I'm feeling like this, they are happy, I'm not successful, they are successful, they have so much wealth, I don't have any wealth, they are living their dream life, I'm living those boring days. When you're constantly focusing on this, it impacts all areas in your daily entrepreneurial life. That's why you slow down, that's why you lose motivation, that's why you don't have that fire, that's why you lose that drive, that's why you start your entrepreneurship journey, you start a business, but later on you give up, you stop, you don't stay consistent, you're stuck with that pattern. I don't have this, they have this, my life is like this, others have like so much happy life than me, why they do, why not me? When you're talking negative with yourself every day, this multiplies, unfortunately this compounds, and you find yourself every week, every month, every year, you're the same, your life is the same. But when you change your perspective, when you look at things from different perspective, when you stop comparing yourself with others and you start comparing your old life, you start comparing your old self with your old habits, you start comparing about how much progress you're making now compared to before. When you start comparing, before you started your business, before you started to your entrepreneurship journey, you start to compare it to now. Now you have started, now you have taken actions, now you acted, now you have came very far along, now you have made progress. When you change your perspective, you find so much happiness, you find so much healthy life, you find so much space to feel happy, to feel grateful, to stop complaining, to stop living in your comfort zone, to stop making excuses, to stop focusing on others, to stop comparing yourself with others, to stop looking at other people's life and you focus on your own life. So we need to change our perspective. We need to break those old patterns. We need to remove those old habits and build new habits. And one of the powerful habits that you can build in your entrepreneurship journey or in your entrepreneurial daily life is to have a practice daily where you are practicing gratitude. Feel grateful. Feel grateful for the kitchen that you have. Feel grateful for the home that you're living in. Feel grateful for the beautiful environment, for the sunshine. Now it's summer season and Sweden looks like a paradise. It looks so wonderful. It looks so beautiful. I get so much energy when the summer comes. I feel more activated. I feel more energetic. I feel more enthusiastic. I feel more happier. I feel more healthier. I feel more grateful because during the summer season, there are so many events, so many activities. I get to meet my people, the friends that I have in my life. I get to work while looking at the sunshine from the window. I get to wake up in the morning feeling healthy. I can move, I can work, I can study, I can learn, I can develop new skills, I can build better habits. I can go out, I can do running, I can do jogging, I can bike, I can go to the gym, do my workout. I can cook like a delicious coffee, I can cook a meal. I can walk to the grocery store, buy my groceries. I can build my own future. I can work on those dreams. I can show up for the people that I love, the people that I want to serve, the people that I want to help, the people that I want to stand for. I can follow my values, my core values. I can follow my goals. I can plan new goals. I can plan new habits. I can implement routines. So even though I don't have that luxury car, even though I don't have that luxury house, even though I don't have that luxury travel or journey, but simply like waking up in the morning, seeing this beautiful sunshine, living in this beautiful environment, feeling healthy, feeling flexible. I can move, I can walk, I can run, I can do many stuff with my health, with my body. Just this, it should make you feel happy. It should make you grateful. So many of us, we have this wrong mindset or wrong thinking in life, that people who have a luxury car, people who have a luxury house, people who have big wealth, people who have a hotel, people who have a jet, they are living like fabulous, phenomenal, super happy life. That's wrong. I know so many people, they're very rich people, but they are depressed. They have bad habits. They are not happy with their life. They are living just like me and you, a normal life. Every day, wake up in the morning, work, go to bed, and sleep. That's it. Just because wealth showed up in their life, it doesn't mean that it makes like a big difference in their life. Some people, they became miserable. Some people are rich, but they're depressed. They're rich out with their luxury car, showing their luxury house, all that, their luxury clothes. But inside, internally, they're depressed. They're depressed inside their mind. They're depressed in their body. Some people, they go to therapists. Some people, they have symptoms. They have illness. They are sick. Some people have cancer. So stop just looking at others, watching others, what they own, what they have, how they are living, and you compare yourself with them, and that's why you don't have any gratitude in your life. That's why you don't feel grateful for anything in your life, and you're losing so much progress. You're impacting your own health when you are looking at others. But when you're looking at yourself, when you remind yourself about being grateful for what you have, for the health, you have so much happiness in your life. It transforms your productivity. It transforms your health. It transforms your mindset. It transforms your confidence. It transforms your focus. You become laser focused when you remind yourself about the life that you are living, and avoiding that bad habit of constantly focusing on others, focusing on what you don't have, focusing on lacking, focusing on what you're missing, focusing on what you're not getting. This impacts your life. So change your perspective. Look at life, look at things from different perspectives. I promise you, when you change your perspective, you change your health. You become more healthier. When you change your perspective, you become more happier. When you change your perspective, you become more successful, because you're constantly focusing on your future, focusing on the progress that you want to make every day, focusing on the hard work that you need to do, focusing on learning, focusing on developing new skills, focusing on communicating, focusing on building a network, focusing on building new relationships, focusing on your own health, on your own routines, your morning routine, your evening routine, focusing on your habits. It changes your life. It changes your daily entrepreneurial life. So you become more successful, you become more healthier, you become more progress, you become more productive, you become more focused. So odds are, if you have lived like few years and you remember that every day, every week, every month, you were waking up every day and just focusing on what you don't have, focusing on what is not working, focusing on how hard things are, odds are you live those days, those weeks, those months, those years without feeling grateful. And when you don't feel grateful, you always feel void. There's a concept called void. It's empty. You always feel empty inside you. Even when you meet up with other people, with your friends or the people in your circle, you look, they watch you, they look at you, you look empty. You look less energetic. You don't look enthusiastic. You don't look very happy. You don't look very successful. You don't look very healthy. You seem void. You seem like you're empty inside. But when you constantly make it a habit and remind yourself about gratitude, it generates so much energy, a positive energy that can transform your daily entrepreneurial life. So I hope my story working with the US Army back in my home country in Iraq can give you a good reason for changing your perspective. Or I hope my story can teach you to be grateful for what you have, despite, regardless, if you're immigrant like me, immigrated from different countries, or if you were born in the same country. I think being grateful for our life, it can transform our future. When we feel grateful in our daily entrepreneurial life, we're progressing, we're moving forward, we're getting things done, we're improving, we're getting better, we're focusing on our future, we're focusing our subconscious thoughts, our emotions, our feelings on the future. We're not focusing on the past, we're not focusing on what we don't have, what we lack, what we are missing. So gratitude transformed my productivity. I am much more productive now. So every time negative thoughts tries to show up, every time self-doubts, every time my brain goes, oh, this is not going to work, you will fail, this is too hard, you can't do it, your family were like this, your friends, they did this to you, or you had that incident, you had that problem like weeks ago, you had that problem like months ago, you had that every time those shows up in my life, I always remind myself about gratitude. I always compare my life, my new life, to my old life. I always remind myself about that experience, about that personal experience working with the US Army as a linguist back in my home country in Iraq, and how limited life I had, and the dangerous, the risky life that I lived. When I compare myself, oh my God, I feel different. It transforms my productivity. I feel much more productive. I'm focused on my work. I'm getting things done. I'm doing the work, regardless how I feel, regardless if I have energy or not. When I constantly compare myself, when I change my perspective, when I remind myself about that personal experience, I look at life in Sweden like a heaven, like a paradise, like a dream life. Every time I go and visit that nature place, this is a nature place that I mentioned in my previous episodes in my podcast. There's a nature place where I usually, or almost every day, I go and visit that place. And that place always reminds me about the beautiful nature, about how grateful I am. The beautiful nature, the beautiful colors, all the animals, all the birds, the nature, the trees, the grass, the wonderful hills that there is in that nature place. It reminds me about I am already living my dream life. This is a dream life for me. For an immigrant, this is a dream life. Because when I compare that nature place to that life where I worked with the US Army at the military base, and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere, I was stuck inside the military base. And this reminds me about how grateful I should be, how happy I should be, how successful I should be. So I need to break my old version. I need to break my old habits, constantly repeating old habits. I don't have this, they have this. I lack, I'm missing, I don't have wealth, I'm unsuccessful, I'm loser, I don't have enough money, my bank account is struggling, I don't have so much money, I don't have wealth, I don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend, I don't have a wonderful family. Every time when those tries to show up in your daily entrepreneurial life, always, number one, practice this habit. Remind yourself that you are healthy, that you can breathe, that you can walk, that you can see, that you can smell. When we had COVID a few years ago, when there was Corona time, Every time we got corona or COVID, we couldn't smell. We couldn't even taste the food. Now I'm so grateful I get to taste the food. Now I'm so grateful I get to smell anything that I want. Now I'm so grateful I d- I'm allowed to go to any store, any gym, any place. But back in those days during the COVID, we weren't allowed to go to a gym or any buildings, at least not for a week, especially when we were getting sick. So now I get to go wherever I want, do whatever I like. I get to follow my passion. I get to create a hobby. I get to develop new skills. I get to build better habits. I get to follow routines. I get to live just like others, rich life. Buy from the same grocery store that rich people buy. I get to go to the gym where the same rich people they train. I get to a fun and enjoyable activities, events just like rich people or wealthy people. I get to go to those places. Same thing. I get to attend any music or festival event just like other rich people, just like people who made their dreams come true. I can go there too. I can buy food. I can eat. I can buy clothes. I can work on my goals. I can set goals. I can work on them. I can work on my dreams. I can make my dreams come true. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is stopping you. Here, I'm living a safe life compared to Iraq. I was living a dangerous life. I could have died anytime in those days. But now, I live a very happy, successful, healthy, and safe life here in the Western countries, in Sweden, in Canada, in America, whatever. You're living a safe life compared to those countries where they went through wars and violence, like my home country, Iraq. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for the trains. There are so many trains. Every hour there is a train that I get to travel wherever I want in Sweden or in Europe. I get to ride a plane and travel to another country, visit that country, explore their traditions, their cultures, their food, their meals, their activities, their events, their neighborhoods, their cities. I get to explore all that. Now I'm so grateful that I can work from my computer wherever I want, whenever I want. I'm not stuck at the same office, in the same building, with the same people, with the same team. I could work from my computer. I can sit in the train and work. I can sit in a hotel and work. I can sit in a coffee place or restaurant and work. I can sit home and work. I get to spend time with my family. I can go out with my kids, do some fun, enjoyable activities. So we have all this freedom. We have all these resources. We have all these opportunities. We have all these beautiful, wonderful, nice places, cities, downtowns, nature places. We have all of this and we still don't feel grateful. Other people, they got cancer. Suddenly the doctors told them that they have a cancer and they feel guilty. They don't feel guilty. Like, it's not my fault. I haven't done anything. How the hell cancer showed up in my life? I don't want to have cancer. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't eat unhealthy food. I didn't make any mistake. Why would I get cancer? Some people suddenly they get cancer and they feel unfair. Some people they have diabetes. Some people they're living their life and they don't know. They're not sure if they will continue living or not. Some people, some countries, they don't have all these fancy places, all this fancy technology, all these fancy services, all these fancy opportunities. They don't have this fancy freedom. But we do in the Western countries. And you still don't feel grateful? You get to start a business, any project. You can work, you can achieve your goals. There are so many resources. You can get so much help. There are so many products, so many services that can help you, and we still don't feel grateful. You can build a wonderful family. You can work with them. You can live with them. You can travel with them. You can walk with them. You can go to the gym and train and do workout with them. You can visit your relatives, your friends with the family, and you still don't feel grateful. You can literally build a business from your home, or you can have your own office inside your home. You can work from your kitchen, from your devices, and we still don't feel grateful for this internet, for this technology evolution, for all those educational opportunities. There are so many stuff in our life, but we still feel void. We still feel empty because we don't feel our body, we don't fill our heart, our mind with positive, with energetic thoughts, emotions, feelings. We feel empty when we don't remind ourselves about gratitude. And we focus too much on the past, we focus too much on what we are missing, what we are lacking, what we don't have, what we are not getting. And that's why so many people, that's why so many entrepreneurs, they struggle. They struggle with their habits. They struggle in their business. They struggle with their relationships. They struggle with their goals. They struggle with their health. They struggle with getting distracted. They struggle with procrastination. They struggle in their daily entrepreneurial life because they're empty, they're void. They're not grateful. But when you feel grateful, all those struggles, they disappear. They fade away. You're not thinking or focusing on any issue or any problem. You feel like a king. When you feel grateful, you don't feel only like an entrepreneur. You feel like a king, the king of the world. You feel like a king in your office. You feel like a king in your family. You feel like king in your work. You feel like a king in your health. You feel like king in your gym. You feel like king everywhere. You're king of happiness. You're king of health. So make it a habit. Practice this habit every day, and I promise you, you would notice a big difference. You stop focusing on not doing the hard work, and you do so much hard work. You stop focusing on what you don't have, and you start focusing on what you already have. You stop focusing on how things hard or difficult they are, and you start to feel that everything is possible and anything is possible, and there is a hope for anything, for any goal, for any dream. There is a hope when you feel grateful. This habit, I can't emphasize it enough. I can't tell you how much it changed my life once I practiced this habit, because I noticed that the past years that I lived my life, I was constantly caught up in the same cycle, focusing on what I don't have, focusing on what is not working, focusing on how hard things are, focusing on the winter, focusing on the snow, focusing on the boring things, focusing on what I can't do. But once I practiced this gratitude habit, oh my God, I started to sleep differently. I started to work differently. I started to go to the gym differently. I started to meet up with my friends differently. I talk differently. I sound differently. I walk differently. I work differently. Everything became different. Why? Because in my old version, I was constantly focusing on what is lacking, what I'm missing, what I don't have, what others have. And I was constantly comparing myself to others. Every time I saw a nice car, I would tell myself, oh, you have a boring, like unsuccessful life. Every time I saw a happy family, I would tell myself, look how miserable you are. Look how empty your home is. But I stopped. I had to stop. I had to break this old habit. I had to build a new habit of gratitude. Every day I wake up in the morning, I remind myself to feel grateful. I'm thanking God for giving me a new chance, for waking up every morning, for a new day, for a progress day, for a productive day, for a focused day, for a day that I can work, I can make a difference in other people's life, I can help, I can serve, I can solve problems, I can learn new things, I can read, I can write, I can talk, I can record this episode, I can eat, I can cook my own food, I get to choose to eat healthy. I don't have to eat unhealthy. I can choose. I get to go to the gym and work on my health, improve my healthy life. And I don't have to depend on anyone or anything. I have a gym, it's free. I can go there whenever I want. It's open all day. Nothing is stopping me. So I always remind myself about all the wonderful things, about all the wonderful people in my life that they make me smile, they make me happy, they generate so much energy every time they give me a compliment, every time they say nice thing about me, and I do the same. I say nice things about others. Every time I see someone who's happy, smiling, I remind them about how wonderful they are, about their character, about how happy, proud I feel whenever I meet them. So I feel grateful in my home. I feel grateful in my work. I feel grateful in whenever I visit the grocery store and see all the refrigerators, all the modern things. Like, I feel so grateful that I get to go to the grocery store actually and choose my own shoppings. I get to choose my own healthy choices. I don't have to pick what I don't like or what I don't want, or if any product food that is impacting my healthy life. No, I can go to the grocery store and pick all the healthy stuff, bringing them home, consume them, and live a healthy life. I don't have to buy unhealthy food. I don't have to go to the restaurant and eat fast food. No, I get to pick. I get to choose. There are restaurants that serves healthy meals, salad and vegetables, meats, beefs, all that. There are unhealthy restaurants, but I'm living in a time where I don't have to go to unhealthy restaurants. I don't have to buy that donuts. I don't have to do things that I don't like, that I don't want, or that are against my health, or that are against my productivity, or that are against my future. I don't have to. I'm living in a modern life where I can choose my own food. I can choose to work or not. I get to choose work on my goals, on my dreams or not. So practice this habit, make it a habit in your daily entrepreneurial life. Every day you wake up, rehearse with yourself, train yourself, program your subconscious mind, condition your body with this new habit. Feel grateful, most importantly, for the health you have, that you don't have cancer, that you don't have diabetes, that you don't have any serious, dangerous sickness. So I hope this episode taught you something new, and I hope you will start building and practicing this habit of gratitude in your own daily entrepreneurial life, and tell me how this habit transforms your daily entrepreneurial life in a week, in a month, in a year. I promise you, you will find so much difference in how you feel, how you breathe, how you walk, how you work, how you focus once you build this powerful habit of gratitude. So that's it in this episode. Please don't forget to follow me on iTunes or Spotify. This is where you will get weekly episodes. And please don't forget to download my free guide. I put the link in the description area, so you can start your life transformation journey. So thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye everyone. Awesome.